Alright, we are recording. Continuing Titan Quest 2. Back to the right character. I forgot I had pulled that guy up to look at the full map at the end of last week. It's been a week. Yeah. Just it has been a week. Alright, yeah, so all this stuff... Oh, wait. This is technically some more I can do over there. Screw it, let's do it. Because now that I have the one thing, which in theory I can... should be in here somewhere. Here it is, the translating device. Because I have that, I technically can go everywhere and do everything. Well, except for what is actually like for the end of the chapter. Let's do that. No, make this up. I'm just trying to think what all news there was this week that might be worth talking about. I mean, fortunately not too much. I mean, there was the AMD AI keynote that they did for me yesterday. So that was Thursday. But that's mainly was mainly for like commercial products, so the Epic CPUs and various other things that'd be going for data centers, which is still interesting. So I still did write some stuff up for the weekly news thing. Because like with Epic is using the same dies inside, but they're going to be configured differently from what will be the consumer parts. And also it's just kind of neat to hear about, oh yeah, 256 core CPU, so 512 threads that could peak at a 5 gigahertz. I mean, sure, it's that's probably on 1 or 2 cores, but still. That's that's neat. Wonderful. That'll come to Threadripper. Probably not, but I don't even know if I could use, if I have anything that would really make use of that many cores. In fact, now that I think about it, there would be no consumer use for that at all, because at that point, that many cores and threads is so high that there's almost no way a typical consumer operating system would be able to schedule on them efficiently. You would need to either do a hell of a lot of virtual machines on it, so multiple operating systems, or you'd need to have very specialized software running on it for it to be at all worth it. It's like even video encoders would run into an issue. I'm trying to remember, there's a name for the effect where basically there gets to be a point where you have so many parallel processes, so many threads going, that you are losing efficiency to just the scheduling and maintaining the parallelization between them. But that's when these are data center CPUs and such, server CPUs, it's like, well, yeah, but that is designed for such a highly parallelized situation that it's being employed in a way that the problem ceases to occur, because you would be running multiple virtual machines, so you got that benefit. So you're no longer working no one of them would see 256 cores or 512 threads. You gonna attack it? Okay. Yeah, no one thing's gonna see all of those. Or you have very specialized applications that know how to handle all that efficiently. Alright. See, that's why I came over here. I just feel like running back instead of warping. What else was there? A new Helios rack scale solution, so that's kind of neat. And it's also kind of crazy because we're talking about how, oh yeah, we can hit exaflops in a single rack. It's like, we are definitely at that point of things are just accelerating. Well, I mean, it's basically, Moore's Law is not dead. It is the simplest way to put it. With the doubling, it's just we've been, every so often, I mean, it might not be on the same curve anymore, but it still is this is definitely still a thing. That, we are continuing to find, it is continuing to be some kind of exponential or exponential-like curve. I'm trying to remember. I think it would have been a while if I talked about, I don't actually believe that it is a true exponential curve. But rather, I think it's a logistics curve. We just keep resetting. So an S-curve where we just keep resetting what the base is. So it ends up looking exponential. So with an S-curve, you have in the middle like what looks like an exponential increase, but then starts tapering off. My hypothesis is that actually what's happening is we always are replacing and going to the next logistics curve before we hit the tapering off, or at least before we hit it too heavily. So it looks like it's an exponential curve because we're in that we stay in that exponential curve slot, that portion of it, and just keep stacking on top of each other. But if we were to stay on something long enough, we would see that, oh no, there will be the diminishing returns. Like, we stayed on a single process node long enough, you would see diminishing returns, like a logistics curve. Warble huts mounted tall will store wheat to the northeast. That's our... Okay, so that's somewhere over here. What's on bitch? Did I even know that last week? That after I went over and did all that it was like just there. See, I knew it was something like that. It's the most annoying part is that I knew it was like relatively close, but I just didn't stay on the path long enough to find it easily. Thought of one thing I could mention, but it'd be a very short kind of mention. I have no interest in seeing the Odyssey, since it does vaguely relate to this. Since the setting is kind of sort of similar. It's like, yeah, I have no interest in seeing that. And I haven't from the start either, because I mean, it's just one of those things where I know people talk about, oh, but But it's Nolan. It's like I don't care. I mean, I don't think anyone in Hollywood do I consider trustworthy, such that, oh yeah, this grand epic story that is almost one of the definitions of a classic, since it's survived so long and still so much love. It's like, why would I ever believe that Hollywood would be capable of doing that right today? Modern Hollywood doing that. I don't, and I don't know why anyone would think that's a thing. And like, it doesn't matter. Oh, but it's no. I don't care. You know, that doesn't change my opinion of Hollywood. Okay. But I nothing I have heard makes me want to see it. But I did find one thing that's kind of neat, because I do remember seeing, it was years ago, the Odyssey that was done as like a TV miniseries. There's 2 episodes, 2.5-hour long TV movies technically, that would be 1 3-hour long movie then. I looked that up because can I find that on DVD? No, I can't. Damn it. Well, no, I did, but it was like $80. It's like and I think it was used. It's like no. But then I thought, it's on Internet Archive. I found it there. Yay, I'll watch that at some point. Because my memory of that is positive. And it's also, I mean, I guess the way to put it is that's older Hollywood, where it's like, they would actually try to tell the story right. So, yeah, back when you could, when I would have had some trust in their capabilities to tell the story properly. But one thing I will say that is frustrating for me is seeing people try to say that, well, how does it matter because it's all just fiction? It's like, the Odyssey isn't. Neither is the Iliad. Like, we know Troy exists. We know there was a war at that time. It's like, yeah, sure, that there is mythologizing in it, both for the people involved. Because it's not unreasonable to believe that Achilles or somebody like Achilles, Odysseus or somebody like Odysseus did exist. Because fundamentally, what are their characteristics? Achilles, a great warrior. Yeah, there would have been great warriors. Truly great, fearsome warriors. And if you read the Iliad, he's a very human character. As far as, like, personality and such.
No room for that.
Just figures. It's like one thing that when I read it a year or 2 ago, that struck me as interesting is it starts with him being this incredibly angry man, because he... Sorry, I'm just trying to navigate the... I don't want to talk to you yet. They just keep complaining they haven't killed people yet. Okay. Because... So, if I remember correctly, and I might be misremembering this, the Trojan War itself technically was not... Oh, the stash. Was technically not 10 years long. It took 10 years from when they left to when they had finished. But along the way, they had also attacked a number of... Okay. They had attacked a number of places along the way. One of those places, they had captured various people, taking them to be slaves, and such, or just hostages. The problem... Oh, man, I got this full up now. What ended up happening, though, was there's one that Achilles had gotten but I'm pretty sure it was Agamemnon.
To steal
Okay. Was wanted her, and so he took her, and what he offered Achilles in return was not of equal value. And it was basically just I'm the king of all the Greeks here, and yeah, sure, Achilles was either a king or a prince at that time as well. He was certainly the leader of the Myrmidons. I'm not sure what his specific title would have been. I don't remember at the moment. And it's like, yeah, that's not right. And he was refusing to fight, but eventually he got in there. But it started off with him in this as a very angry man. But how does it end? And he continues throughout to make some bad decisions. Like when he kills Hector, he should have basically, and I think there was even to a degree a certain agreement between them as well, about he would just leave the body so that Troy would be able to properly honor and bury their prince. Instead, he dragged the body around the I don't know how I'm going to put these in necessarily. Instead, he dragged the body around the city of Troy 7 times, I think it may have been. I don't remember. It was a number of times behind his chariot to destroy, to disfigure the body, and to just show off to the Trojans, look at what I have done. Okay. I think it would be this. Maybe not. Oh, wait. Yeah, I don't remember what I was putting things into. They have to put in that. But still, I feel like doing that is going to be best, and then dropping that point in something else that'll be useful, or just hang on to it. Maybe. At least it's helping the skill damage. Anyway, the summon damage. But anyway, so yeah, he's done that, and then he takes... Achilles takes the body with him back to his camp. And... Priam, I think that's the name of Troy's king, Hector's father. That would be better. Barely use that. So Priam, with I don't remember which god it is that helps him, that disguises him, actually goes into the Greek camp because he is hoping to find his son's body and take it back with him. But he is disguised, so no one sees him, and he knows if he gets caught, he will be killed, right? Or at least he'd be taken as a hostage. He gets all the way to Achilles' tent, and Achilles actually recognizes him. Like at this point, it is revealed, and Achilles doesn't harm him at all. They sit and they talk and they eat together as well. So very much there is peace here. And they even end up crying. They end up weeping together over, because Priam has lost his son, Achilles has lost his best friend and cousin, I think it was, or nephew, something like that. Such that when the part of how the story ends is Achilles has agreed to return the body to Troy and is going to personally promises Priam's safe return to Troy. And I think also calling a truce so that they can properly bury Hector. I mean, it's like, this is a huge thing because of how, a huge amount of character development for Achilles here, because he was so upset at the start just because of how Agamemnon abused him as far as like, hey, I want what you have, I just get to take it. But then in the end, he is weeping with his own enemy, the father of his slain enemy, and just it's such a good story. The Iliad really is such a good story. It's like there's no reason to believe that human kind of change there, that there couldn't have been a real person there. And Odysseus is just described as having the wisdom of Zeus. So it could just be a very intelligent person, which also, by the way, one thing that I see when some people talk about it with the Trojan horse, when reading the Odyssey, something that I'm pretty sure I'd seen pointed out there, maybe with someone else, what people don't realize today is that was actually a major breach of ethics at the time. Because one of Troy's gods, patron gods, was Poseidon, who's also the god of horses. They constructed from the remains of some of the boats of their boats that have been damaged. So it's like seeing it in brass, it's like, or bronze, like, no, that should have been in wood. Anyway, they left that horse there, and then they had all the boats sail away. That was a message of surrender. Because that is, first, we left, but second, he's an idol of your god. For your god, showing tribute to your god. That is a major. We've surrendered. We're promoting your own god. That's why Troy would bring it in. And yes, there was one person who's saying, no, don't do that. It's a trap. I think it was one of Priam's daughters, but no one listened to her. I don't remember if that was Cassandra or somebody else. But that kind of situation with, if you know the history of Cassandra, if you know the mythology for the Cassandra figure, had the gift of foresight, but the curse of no one will ever believe her. But it was a surrender. That's what that was. And then at night, the ships came back, and the Greeks that were in the horse, which, by the way, one of them, somebody did stab in, a Trojan did stab in and actually kill one of them. But everyone stayed quiet, so they didn't know. So they did test it and just seemed to pass. But then they brought it in, and once Troy was partying at night, the Greeks slipped out, were able to open up the gates, start slaughtering guards, and then all the rest of the Greeks to come in. But it's still, it's like, that was a major breach of ethics. That's like, oh yes, we've signed the peace accord. And then we're leaving, and then that's when you start up the attack again. That's essentially what they did. True, they didn't formally sign a peace accord, but the horse itself was a sign of that. At least that's how I've seen it described once, and it makes sense. It does make sense that is an accurate interpretation. They had left, and they left an image honoring Troy's god, well, one of their gods. It's like, that's not a small sign. And then they did what they did. So, yeah. We could do that. Yeah. Let's actually do that. But would I expect nuance like that, or even with Achilles, to be handled properly by Hollywood? No, I wouldn't. Even with Troy, which, it's got plenty of faults to it, really does. Although, casting not among them. That was well cast. But things like, and this is not a small thing, technically. Achilles was dead before Troy fell. So he, in the movie Troy, they depict him actually getting inside. But as I recall, no, he had already been killed. So he would not have been there. That was an inaccurate depiction of his death. But then it's also, they have Agamemnon dying. And it's like, crap. I think also Helen's actual husband was also killed in that. It's like, no, she survives. Oh, sorry, he survives, and Agamemnon survives as well. But when returning, his wife had taken a lover, and they together killed him. But then his son killed her and the lover because of the treachery and such. But in movie Troy, they didn't do that. And also, like, Helen was forgiven by her husband. And was brought back and was a loyal, dutiful, still beautiful wife. Okay. Because that's one thing that I have seen, that apparently they decided for Nolan's Odyssey that, oh, it should be that he punishes her by disfiguring her face, and it's like, what? No, I'm just... Telemachus goes and visits because it's like asking, hey, do you have any news of my father, kind of thing. So that's Odysseus' son, Telemachus, and sees her, and she is the beautiful wife, which, I mean, to be fair, even in the Iliad and such, it's like, she was basically bewitched by Aphrodite to go with Paris. It's yeah, it is a little complicated there, but no, she was forgiven. So them changing that, it's like, what? Yeah, so it's... They are good stories, but why would I trust them today to do it right? Ow. Anything else I didn't mention that's on my mind, anything like that? I guess mentioned that. So I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, because well, some of it I may have been doing last week. Reprocessing some Blu-rays with AV1, and man, it is one of those weird things, because these I know are, well, there's very little noise, which is either that they were DNR'd, well, no, they almost certainly were DNR'd, and in one case they also were potentially just DVD upscales. But it is interesting to work with AV1 for this, because the AV1 psychovisual rate distortion has the Wait, this way. Has the potentially unfortunate behavior of producing artifacting that can't seem to add detail, but it's it'll be wrong detail. So there's that aspect to it, but it's also the grain synthesis means that, yeah, I can put on a layer of grain that wasn't there because it got removed. So it's kind of interesting as far as the whole, yeah, I'm compressing it now better than it had been, but it's also the whole, it's technically looking better now. Okay, so yeah, this is just, you need to, and there's a few places like this. You just need to kill enemies within the circle, and you'll get stuff. Because just getting those enemies is difficult, because like these guys are actually too far away. They will not stay focused on you to get all the way down here. I don't remember where it is. Maybe it's down here. That you can get enemies to spawn and go there, but it's such a pain with something like this guy, the Golem, right? Automaton. Because because it'll kill them before anything gets there. And I'm not well, I guess I could do that. But it still is, these guys are too far away. They will keep respawning, but they are too far away. They will not aggro all the way down. So here, even if I do this, so turn him off. So they have to follow me. Yeah, see, they stop just short. I mean, it should be something like those skeletons that were spawning up here. Those should keep spawning. I'm not sure why they're not, unless it is just a, there's a number limit. Like, it's not based on, how many you get for turning these things on. But it might just be, oh yeah, we'll spawn in enough. If you kill them before you get there, though, well, you're just out of luck. It's like, that's not cool. That's not cool. Yeah, I'm going to continue around this way. And then work my way back over there. I intentionally avoided doing one thing over there. When I get back to it, I'll explain why. Because I think I will be getting back to it before long. I also just remembered something else concerning the Trojan War and such. There are also extant documents still, extant records that show that, yeah, there was a Trojan, that the Trojan War, a war between Troy and the Greek city-states. There are records that show that exists outside of the Iliad and Odyssey. Okay. I don't want to keep going that far east. Do you want to come back? Yeah, because Troy would have been, because I saw something recently talking about it. Troy was a vassal state for the Hittite Empire. And the Hittite records are what we still have. Or at least some of them. That I can take. And they do have records to a different name, but what we would recognize as Troy, they do have records of it being attacked by essentially the Greeks. It's not necessarily by name, but for where they describe where they came from and such. And I think also some of the names you can transliterate back to what is in the Iliad and the Odyssey. That does show that, yeah, they're real. That this did happen. And I do find this an interesting thing with, like, the study of myths, that people seem very interested in, for whatever reason, in rejecting that, oh, these things could be true. But granted, the Iliad and the Odyssey were not written within the living memory of them happening. As far as, like, you know, within 1-2 generations of it happening. But it still is these were stories that would have been known to the people of Homer's day. As far as they, no. Oh. Okay, no. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Let me take care of that. Then I'll go back and show the thing. Okay. Because this is one thing that I do think a lot of people today don't realize, 'cause it's so different, is that part of how people would entertain themselves, like when going on journeys, long walks, in some cases, because maybe they would ride in a cart or something, but they would recite to themselves something they had learned, some story they had learned, right? Because you didn't necessarily have books yet, or at least they weren't common. So they would just be reciting it to themselves over and over again, reinforcing it. Now, reinforcing the memory, but also, yes, they would be making some changes, but the core of it would be similar. So what Homer potentially then did with something like the Iliad and the Odyssey, and also what others would do for other things as well, is they just wrote them down. It was just this is neat. Why don't I record this onto parchment? It's like, why don't I, or start carving it into tablets? Why don't I start doing that? Because this is a good story. Why don't I do it this way so it is preserved? But because of that, yes, it would have been initially oral tradition, but it would have been shared by a large number of people. Okay. There we go. Yeah, let's go at it this way. So it would have been mythologized, yes, or he, already, or he had done that. But it still is. They're from memory thing. Okay, what was that thing? Because I'm sorry, I've got the 4 heads. I got the 4 bull heads. Actually, more than 4 now. 6. Okay, so maybe this isn't the place. But yeah, it just seems odd where it's like, hey, they, we're preserving this story in this way that's, about real events, but now that we're further removed from it than they are, we're gonna doubt it. Well, they did not doubt it. And it just seems weird that this, like, because we are further away from something than the people who originally recorded it, that makes that must mean then that we shouldn't trust it. I've never understood this thinking. So the people that are more likely to have an accurate memory of it, and we're preserving that story because we are far from them, you don't trust the story that, even though we are, like, still recording, we'll still have records of what they believed. It just... I'm trying to... Hang on. How to put that better? We had... So the people that, when Homer wrote it, would have recognized the story as something they would have been told, been passed down through, not necessarily their family, but let's just say their civilization, their culture, of something that had happened. And I think it was supposed to be like centuries prior. Still is, that was being passed down. And it would have been passed down by many people. So that Homer could have interviewed many, and you can figure out what was common and then recorded that. Still with the mythologizing in there to help make sure it's a story that will be remembered because it connects into these other things. So it's like, making sure it's familiar places. Not just in familiar locations, but familiar beings such as the gods. There's some interesting things in there too. Like how it describes the strength of Zeus in the Iliad. I'd never seen or heard that before. It's like, oh, wow, that's very impressive. It just seems odd to me that it's like, they would have accepted this as, yes, this did happen. This was not just a fictional story. These things did happen at the time. But now we are being so much further away from that, so we would have less of that surviving knowledge outside of the written text. We would have less of that. And that makes us doubt them. And I don't understand that. It's like, I'm okay if you want to try to doubt the events, but they believe this happened. Why are we doubting that? I don't... They were closer to the original evidence and the original witnesses than we are. But you doubt them. They would have better standard... They would have better evidence, better witnesses than we do. They believed it. But because we're further away, we don't trust them. I've never understood this. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, let's do this thing. Which, yeah, so this is, we can teleport around, do some stuff, and this is also the kiln figurines, which I think there'll be more of over here. Maybe there aren't more. Maybe it's only after we destroy some stuff. But the fortress that I could teleport to, and will, I'll show you. When you do go there, it's you spend the figurines to trigger a gauntlet wave to come at you. And by doing so, you will, get various rewards. So but it is one of those things that there were some kiln figurines that couldn't be picked up. They fixed that with patches, but it still is a, like, on this character, it's like, okay, I in theory will be able to pick them all up. I can't, I don't know where they'd all be on the the missing ones, where those would be. I'd have to go through the entirety of the map to get them. And some are going to be, like, in hidden places. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. Such fun. It's kind of a, yeah, I'm just not going to worry about it. Kin figurine, sorry, not kiln, kin. Yeah, so if it was like, if I couldn't pick up these two, if I don't remember to come back here on the other character, I'll never find them. It's very annoying. That's probably worth it. Hang on, let me put that down there. Portrait soul. That should, I should be able to put that into this. Yeah, there. See, I know I'm losing that speed, but I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Like, it's a little bit more damage. I'm getting 26 versus 23, but it's also a lot more armor. And other things. Yeah, oh, and I've got increased strike and pierce damage, increased pit. Yeah, so it's that is overall going to be worth it. The ancient palace is where I came from. Yeah. So that's basically explaining that this is all a trick, a manipulation. So I got those. Hit it. I do not have them all, because there's kin figurines all over the map. So I will leave here. I mean, eventually I'm gonna have to come back and do all the challenges. But it's just let's leave that for another time. I guess going back a bit, the only reason I can think of for why we would have that weird effect of just because it was long ago for us, but the people near it believed it, we're gonna doubt it. I guess it's just that I don't know why it is even this human tendency to believe that basically prior generations were stupid and ignorant. It's like, why do you think that? I get that they had less knowledge because they hadn't discovered as much as we have yet, but what's your point? I mean, it's that doesn't mean that they were stupid. That doesn't mean they were fools. It just means that it's like, yeah, they hadn't discovered certain things yet.
No room for that.
No, I'll keep to what I have. Yeah, and part of my defense for why I think that's stupid is if you had somebody, now true, he's an outlier, but if you had somebody like Leonardo da Vinci alive today, he'd still be a genius. He'd be a genius with other things, because he'd have access to other things, but he'd still be a genius.
Chiron seems to attract. We need a sanctuary now more than ever.
Which actually... There. Okay. I'm just trying to decide because I don't want to keep going too long on this. I think I will work my way north. To connect up with the waypoint that's up there. So that, I'm going to try to work my way towards that. Because that way next week when I'm back at this, in effect I'll be able to start from there. Now I will want to go east, which is actually one reason why I'm kind of tempted to just do that directly. Just head straight over here. Well, if I do that, then... yeah, this should be a waypoint up there. So I should just do that, so I'm not having to as much cover over parts of the map I've already been through. So yeah, let's just do that. Let's just do it. Yeah, we can do it this way too. Go this way. Also just occurred to me, one thing that I should try to clarify in my thought about the whole, I don't know why we, like, just because we today have less evidence of something, that means that we should doubt the people that would have been closer to that evidence. I'm not saying that we should just, without challenge, accept what past people believed. I'm not saying that. I don't understand this, oh, well, they must be false. That's what I don't get. Because that does seem to be the case with how some of these stories are interpreted. That's like, oh, it must just be fake. It's all just fiction. It's like, no, there's no reason to believe that. Unless you're just like, oh, well, they're all stupid. It's like, why? Why do you conclude that? And I can also believe that part of it is just an arrogance thing, that you want to believe that you are better than others, and it's really easy to believe that you're better than people in the past because they're already dead. It's like, so how can they challenge you? You challenge you and say, well, no, I do know these things. They can't, because they're not here to defend themselves. And while there are people, historians that might be able to do so, they might not bother with you because, like, you're just an idiot. I mean, true, with Nolan's Odyssey, that is making it, is giving them reason to speak out, but it's just otherwise, not necessarily. That's that situation, why would they necessarily bother? Okay. Oh, yeah. Alright.
Tell your goddess I'm through with her! Your assistance was unexpected. I am... never mind! Another group is here. My leg. I'm Sakara. A priestess of I wanted food, a warm bed, and a little... Nemesis has us exacting vengeance on everyone around. I've seen sisters lose their lives to this madness. All I have just the nearly endless waves of harbingers she'll keep sending after me. Only one of our order, in Sparta, ever managed to leave. There's a rumor she had another god's help to do it. If only I had friends like that. We all join seeking our own vengeance, or abroad. The result is always the same, though. Hardened women, trained in combat, among... I once lived for the camaraderie and feeling of purpose. But... quite the hero, huh? Well, each priestess of Nemesis makes a vow to the goddess when this blood vow allows Nemesis and her minions to know exactly where we are at all. If only you could. I need you to bring it to me. These blood vows are held in a hidden dungeon where most wouldn't dare enter. I'm not used to such kindness. You've shown you can handle the guards, but you must ignore the prisoners in there. They'll only slow you down.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Still being hunted. Please hurry and find my blood vow.
That's up there. I've already done that, so I know what the conclusion is. But I will also just mention that one priestess who escaped Sparta, from Sparta, something like that, that has escaped. That was what's her name, who trained the main character. So who died at the start of the game in the tutorial area. That's right. This is... I'm full up at the moment. Good, can take care of that. Oh, I just remember one thing kind of funny about the Odyssey. Well, Nolan's Odyssey. Is that one thing that I've been seeing... So, the what translation of the Odyssey did he reference the most? And the one in particular that people were saying, oh no, hopefully he's not using this one because it's not a good translation. In just basically modern language and biases trying to be put into it. That kind of thing with it.
Take an age to fix.
Like one thing that I know has been talked about is reducing everyone to the different characters that yes, they would have been slaves, but they weren't just slaves, but like always reducing the word down to, oh yeah, they were slaves. It's like, oh no, they were handmaiden. Or no, was the swineherder and such. It's like, yeah, they were slaves, but that they also had a role that was an important and valued role at the time. By reducing it to slave, you are in fact changing the substance here. Well, for a while, some people were trying to argue that no. That's not the translation that he's using. He's using many translations. He's referencing many. He's not primarily using her translation. But this past week, I saw Barnes & Noble promoting that translation, saying this is the one that he followed. Yeah. And Barnes & Noble, could they be making a mistake there? Yes. Should they be? No. Like that's... Because it's also, that's not even like Barnes & Noble marketing. That would have been the publisher saying, hey, promote it this way. Because Barnes & Noble wouldn't care if it's that translation or another translation. It would be totally irrelevant to them. They just want to sell the book. In fact, selling a different version of the Odyssey might be more profitable for them. Because there are plenty of translations that would be public domain. So, and some of them, it's possible... Well, no, I know it's the case. I don't know how many of them this is true for. Some of the public domain books that you can purchase on Barnes & Noble are or had been published by a company they had partnered with. I actually have a couple books that are like that. Where they were... And at one point, Barnes & Noble had actually purchased the publisher. When I was looking into it, I saw they had since sold that publisher, or it had just gone independent, but you know, it was separated one way or another. So that would actually make them more money. Because now, that's just okay, who's physically printing the book, and also potentially some payment for the typesetting. That's it. Not that you have to do this and also pay the person who did the translation, who did the editing. You don't need to pay them anymore because they're not alive. Nor would they have an estate that could have any legal claim because it's public domain at this point. So to promote the Emily Wilson one, I'm pretty sure that's that translation. That's something that would benefit her, which would mean benefit her publisher as well, to promote that specific one. So that's why, yeah, that likely came from the publisher. In my opinion. I think that makes the most sense. Because I actually did, it was either earlier this year or towards the end of last year, I actually did order a copy of the Odyssey and the Iliad. So I have print copies, not just what you can find public domain online as ebooks. Ordered that, and that's not the same translation, but because it is public domain, it's possible that Barnes & Noble, that those versions that I purchased gets more of that cut. I'm not sure, because I don't know if it would be like, you know, their label or a label that they had partnered with. I'm not sure, but I really want to find a waypoint. I'm pretty sure there is one nearby. I just don't know if it's down here. It might be... okay, perfect. Right. You know, let me... Okay, if that's... Okay, then I will do this. Because this will let me clear out a couple quests. A couple of side quests. Good.
No room for that.
Want to bet? There we go. That is one advantage to the weight-based inventory systems. It's like you don't have to worry about sorting. It's just there.
I think that's everything Cleopas
Carrying
needed
too
for
much.
the hunting bow.
I think that is that bit. Oh, no, it wasn't. Alright. Oh well. Well, actually, yeah, just do it this way, head back here, sell the stuff, turn in the 2 quests, and I'll be done. Well, I also need to store some stuff, but yeah, just inventory management.
Is it done? You did it. They're all dead. The world is better for their absence. Thank you. My foe will hear tales of their father's heroism in defending me. Defending us. Some say that humans don't know anything of honor. But you've proven that untrue. Thank you.
Alright.
We need a sanctuary now more than ever.
Okay, there was something that occurred to me about maybe hanging on to it, but
Chiron seems to it.
and like I would need to go back in to get it. I just have no idea what it was. Okay. Right now, yeah, he's up here.
I can still barely.
You're back.
I've been doing everything I can to start making a... Yes! Thank you! I've been planning... Anyway, thanks! I'll be back here later if you want to hear the tale.
Okay. Right, so that should be that. I just realized. What is... Ah, okay. I honestly never noticed that high down there for more information. Okay. Alright. We need to stretch some. Alright. Went a little bit longer than I would have liked, but that's okay. Plenty of stuff to do, and fortunately I found that last waypoint. Alright. Next week will probably be a lot like this one, because I'm just clearing through the map. But, you know, we'll be clearing out those side quests as well. Eventually working my way west, find the first foreman, then going in and actually getting to the end in that one temple of Nemesis. There is that other temple that the priestess that wants to leave, has pointed me to. So I will be doing that. That might not be next week. That might be 2 weeks. It depends on how much... I don't remember how large the northeast section is that I'll be clearing before I get over to the west. Oh, well, for more west than where I am now, because that's actually where that temple is. Okay. See you next time.